morning to you, viewers. Good morning to you, viewers of High Television. You are welcome to the Thursday's edition of the program. As today is Thursday, the 2nd of November 2023. On this program, the newspapers always come first. We'll be back to give you what's there. Stay Once again, you are heartily welcome on board the program Press Brief. For presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabot. We start with the media newspaper for this program. The media newspaper of Stephen Ojon for this day have as lead story NJ Ayuk success story of a pathfinder in Africa's energy space. That is what you can find on the media newspaper for this morning. And that sets the media newspaper. The paper reports on Cameroon's absence at the landmark conference of Africa's energy leaders. You can find that story on that set publication on page 5. We'll move over to broken roads, garbage heaps in Yaoundé. Dion Gouti, it says the paper reports on Dion Gouti whips for Cameroon's political capital city, Yaoundé. Let's take you now to Le Messager. Le Messager of today talks of the fight against corruption. It says the report that is quite divisive. Get to read that story on Le Messager newspaper for this morning. Moving over to talk on the Ballon d'Or the African Ballon d'Or, it talks of Andre Onana that is in the storm of another scandal in the Ballon African. Time for this morning reports on prices of bread. It says prices of bread now move from 150 francs to 135 francs, having a reduction rate there, as reported to us by Info Martin. From Info Martin, we take you to Yaoundé, to Boya to meet the Post. The Post for this day talks of Southwest boss says security situation is gradually improving. That is what you can read on that set paper, as how Lieutenant Colonel Luis Onambele was talking on the pages of the Post newspaper for this morning. National Assembly in messy financial scandals. You get to read that story on that set paper for this day, as reported to us by the Post newspaper for today. Cameroon USA artist Zonetak Sokoju releases iconic tribute song titled African Fit Nganu. Get to read that story on that set publication. After Southwest Governor's mediation, Southwest elite chiefs pledge to support Victoria United Opopo to the tune of 21.45 million CFA francs. Let's move away from the Post newspaper to the next publication for this morning. Quotidian Emissions talks on the fight against, in charge of the fight against money laundering. SDF, what can change under the chairmanship of Joshua Osi in the major political opposition party in the country. That is what you can find on the page 5. We'll move over to Cameroon, who wants to increase on production from 600 tons from the year 2023. This is in the cotton sector of the country, as reported of the exchange. It talks of the coming of the general elections for 2025. It says the southwest and the littoral region were key on the agenda of the Secretary General and Vice Prime Minister Jean Kweti, who was in these two regions for a workshop and for a sensitization tour for the party militants in the set regions to galvanize up. November 6, 2023 says CPDM remains steadfast behind Paul Biya. Get to read that. Stick from the chest of a 9-year-old boy. That is a sad one. You can read on page 9 on the Guardian Post for this morning. We'll move over to the Nation. The Nation talks of $8 billion US and 100 million euro fresh loans. You can find that story on Asset Paper. We'll move over to the richest black man in the world, Aliko Dangote. He says Aliko Dangote crude oil shortage delays. Dangote his visit was unacceptable, as the paper reports on Francis Ngannou's welcome that was not actually cherished by the paper of Info Asho newspaper for this morning. We'll move over to the fight against money laundering and other financial misconducts. It talks of the integrity of the decree that was signed for the coordination of this fight by President Paul Biya. That story completes herself on the pages 5 to 9 on that set publication for today. Meta Siong of Seri Diaga reports on corruption. It says counter report of Andre Ebe Aisi. You can read that story of 60 billion CFA francs within the year as a result of unpaid bills and some other indemnity on that same parastatal. Let's move over to Cameroon Business Today. It talks of the fight against money laundering in the country. Cameroon Business Today reports on development of school economy, measure obstacles to surmount. You can get to read that story of Marie Claire Nana for this morning. That is Cameroon Business Today. Yaoundé Douala Express routes. The paper reports on sensitization as users, or sensitization for users underway. As you can read that story on that set paper. As circulation for the first phase of the routes will be launched in this month of December of 2023. Let's move away from Cameroon Business Today to another economic newspaper. Financier d'Afrique for this morning talks of the commercial sector. The opening of FIAFAC in Douala takes place morning. Governance. The paper comes back to the emergency when it comes to transition in the West African nation of Gabon. Get to read that story on that said paper. Telecommunications. The paper reports on 812 kilometers of optic fiber by Camtel goes successful. Get to read that story on that said publication. Cameroon tribute the too many projects that were unveiled during this audience granted to the visiting Prime Minister from of Cameroon Tribune newspaper for today. We'll take you to network of creative cities. It says Kong Samba among the great. That story completes herself on page 21 on Cameroon Tribune newspaper for this morning. In the multiple analysis, the paper reports on efficiency still wanting. Get to read that sports story on page 30 to page 31 on Cameroon Tribune newspaper for today. From Cameroon Tribune newspaper, we'll take you to repair for this morning. Repair for today talks of the container terminal at the Douala Port Authority. It talks of the renovation. The English boxer Tyson Fury will recount his fearless match with the Cameroonian boxer Francis Ngannou. Get to read that story on that said paper. Let's move over to the disputed victory of Joshua Osei as chairman of the SDF political party, as reported to us by Repair newspaper for this. From Repair, we take you to the next publication of Reality Police of Paul. Reality Police of Paul grants the new stance with this publication that says CPDM in the West region are behind President Paul Biya as the build. Let's read that story on that said paper. And we remain still with the SDF this time around in the Upper Camp division of the West region. It talks of the Queen Mother and President Gianna Charlotte, who confirms the capability of greater mobilization of militants behind President Paul Biya and the said party of CPDM, as reported to us by on that said publication for today. We'll be moving over to the next publication we are having for today, the Politic Hebdo. The Politic Hebdo for today talks of the SDF Pyros of victory. It says the impossible reconciliation. Get to read that story of the SDF on the Politics Hebdo newspaper for today. And we'll move over to Fijes Congress for 2023. The paper talks on how Cameroon needs to be honored. Get to read that story on that said publication for this morning. Literature. The paper reports on Serge Guanga, who dedicates this book of his that was launched recently to all the persons who are of outstanding quality. You can find that story on the Politics Hebdo for today. From the Politics Hebdo, we take you to a Code du Parlement. A Code du Parlement talks on recognition. It says Honorable Gladys Etombi hails President Paul Biya for foresight leadership. You get to read that story on the paper from the Parliament known as a Code du Parlement. From a Code du